When you saw Deltokin's betrayal, it all made sense. Deltokin had been in charge of the tournament weapons and could have easily poisoned yours. Later, he had been the one to send you to White Arden, preventing you from talking to Enoia. Even the Sealstone battle could have been part of his plot. If the Crimson Army had been victorious, Enoia could have been blamed. The elves would have exiled him, and Deltokin could have abducted and sacrificed him sooner. When Deltokin shouted that the goddess loved the blood of kings, it finally hit you. Deltokin was the Grand Oblate of the Dahuta cult. You recalled Aranzeb's memories of Dahuta's palace, her servants, enchanted to share his face. She had been obsessed with him, had even loved him, had tried to seduce him. But he had loved another, and her all-consuming desires had never come to fruition. Except perhaps with her slaves. But how satisfying would a slave be compared with a king? The Dahuta cult had many goals, but their Grand Oblate, Deltokin, may have had only one, Enoia. The one name all other elves knew, the single most powerful and influential elf on Nuia, the closest thing to a king the elves had had in hundreds of years, ever since Aranzeb's death. You'd imagine Deltokin using magic to carve Aranzeb's features onto Enoia's face. Dahuta would have been elated at the mere prospect. Deltokin's laughter was manic, but tinged with fear. Your entrance had broken his concentration. Now, he began his dread ritual again, whispering a spell and collecting a sample of Enoia's blood. Deltokin shouted that you should have no other gods but Dahuta, and no other kings but the sea. Enoia used his magic to weaken the wards around Deltokin's orb, allowing you to destroy it. Deltokin snarled a chant, filling the room with the roar of powerful magic. You kept fighting. Enoia channeled some of his power into your body. He was a legendary fighter, but few had ever seen him in battle. The Eocad were considered too elite to participate in the field of honor. Now, it was clear why. His magic was overwhelming, and it was only with his help you were able to bring Deltokin down. As Deltokin's last breath escaped him, his body bloated and went gray. Blue lines traced out his veins, and bile-colored algae slickened his skin. He looked as if he had drowned. It was a sign of his goddess, claiming him as one of her beloved. Dahuta had imbued Deltokin with power and altered his being to suit her needs. What else could be expected of the goddess of change? She had changed his true nature as the sea changes in a storm. You couldn't discern his age, or even if he was truly an elf. He was nothing now, a soggy husk that his goddess had no further use for. What kind of rewards must he have been promised to risk so much of himself? And all for naught. The magic unleashed during your battle was powerful enough to attract the rest of the Eocad. When they noticed Deltokin missing from their ranks, you pointed at the seeping corpse nearby. Much explaining followed.